Peace, kings and queens, gods and goddesses. So, it was a bit rocky me getting my documents out today because donations have slowed down. So, if you can't donate, please share the post, because even if you can't donate, somebody else that see it possibly can. So, help me by sharing, please and thank you. Graciously, because of Enrique, I was able to send off my documents today. Whoop whoop. And these were the new notices that I had put together for court. And these things are costly, especially because I have to notify more than one individual. But I wanted to take the time to share one of the documents that went out today because it's very important. And I really want y'all to know how well I am at doing my own due diligence. Baby, one thing about me, I'm going to keep the timeline together. And I had to learn how to do that, so I'm actually very proud of that. But we're going to get into this document, though, because chef's kiss. I love it. It's so good. Look at my nuggets. I bought the iPad so I can share it with y'all. Oh, my babies. I love them so much. But let me open this up so we can get into this document. Okay, so the document is named the Affidavit of Systemic Judicial Fraud, Right Violation, and Declaration of Standing. To whom it may concern: 1. Lawful identity and standing. I, Heaven-Marshay Holt, a living woman, lawful biological mother, and sole legal and lawful guardian of Nevaehs, submit this affidavit as lawful and public record in response to a long-standing pattern of judicial misconduct, rights violations, and administrative fraud carried out under the color of law. In the above captioned matter, I act as executrix and beneficiary of my own estate, and I have submitted numerous lawful and unrebutted filings to this court in full compliance with public law, administrative process, and constitutional protections. 2. Notice of fraudulent and coercive and malicious actions. This affidavit serves as a formal notice that the following actions and omissions by this court's officers, including but not limited to the Magistrate Elizabeth Howe, clerks, and alleged representative, constitute systematic judicial fraud, coercion, misrepresentation, and violation of natural and constitutional rights. Violation of due process and denial of personal appearance. I was never lawfully served, never granted lawful appearance, nor issued proper notice regarding key proceedings. Orders have been entered in my absence without cause or hearing, violating my right to be heard. My motion to set aside the magistrate's order filed with evidentiary documentation was never lawfully rebutted. Return and suppression of lawful filings. Between 2024 and 2025, I have submitted lawful affidavits, notices, and declarations, including but not limited to affidavit of truth, the writ of quo warranto, subrogation notice, fee schedule affidavit, declaration of trust, notice of claim, clerk misconduct, and waiver of summons 1 and 2. These documents was either refused, returned, or ignored without legal justification in violation of my administrative rights and public record protection. I was forced to resubmit previous filings that were never filed onto the record nor returned to me, despite being lawfully submitted. This includes, but is not limited to, the notice of discontinuation of legal services, which was originally sent to both the court and the unlawfully assigned guardian ad litem, Cynthia A. Ernst, who on two separate occasions in March 2005. Both deliveries were successfully confirmed. Afterward, the court contacted me requesting that I update the case number and clarify what actions I intended on them to take with the documents. In good faith, I revised the documents and included a cover letter that explicitly stated they were both to be filed onto the official record. Despite doing this, I received no confirmation of the filing. The documents were never returned to me. The delivery of the court was confirmed via USPS certified mail number 9589-0710-5270-1977-0219. Due to financial limitations, I was only able to resend the updated documents to Cynthia A. Earth using regular postage. For context, she was previously served twice via USPS certified mail. The first notice was returned to me due to an inaccurate address listed online. The second notice was confirmed delivered via USPS certified mail number 958-90-71-05-7701-97702205. Ultimately, both the court and the guardian ad litem failed to act on the initial submissions. These very same documents were only recently filed onto the court record, officially stamped as received June 9th, 2025, months after the original delivery. This delay and mishandling constitutes material evidence of clerk misconduct and intentional administrator obstruction, procedural fraud, and judicial overreach. The issuance of a temporary custody order was done without my appearance, without a proper hearing, without rebuttal to my previously submitted jurisdictional challenges. The order is procedurally defective, retroactively referencing my child's birth as the start of a custodial authority, falsely implying long-standing custody to Isaiah Nash, whose paternity remains unproven by law, deliberately attempting to undermine the fact that I, the biological and lawful guardian of Nevaehs Naomi Nash, was the only guardian present during delivery. Additionally, this was a deliberate attempt to obscure my sole biological and lawful custodianship. Evidence weaponization, and retaliatory harm. Clinical records I submitted to support my lawful custody have been misused to justify interference. This led directly to a third party contacting my daughter's counselor, resulting in unlawful suspension of services, violating HIPAA and Ohio confidentiality laws. This led directly to a third party contacting my daughter's counselor, resulting in unlawful suspension of services, violating HIPAA C45 CFR 165.502G and Ohio confidentiality laws, which requires explicit authorization from a legal guardian for the release of any minors protected by health information, PHI. No valid release of information, ROI, was authorized, and no court has lawfully negated my custodial consent rights. These acts constitute retaliatory harassment, procedural intimidation, and custodial disruption under the color of law. Let the record reflect. No lawful court has established paternity, custody, or authority granting Isaiah Miles Nash legal standing over my child. Ongoing psychological, emotional, and harm. I have acted in good faith, in full transparency, supported by lawful documentation instead of recognition. I have been subjected to manipulation, coercion, intimidation, and threats, including kidnapping under administrative order. The very structure of safety that I have built for my children has been intentionally eroded by fraudulent actions of this court. Legal principles and reserved rights. In accordance with UC 1-308, I reserve all rights without prejudice. In accordance with 28 U.S.C. 1746, I make this statement under the penalty of perjury. All documents referenced herein remain unrebutted, legally sufficient, and on the record, either in physical possession, certified submission, or through verified communication. I do not consent to the administrative assumptions, fraudulent jurisdiction, nor interference with my custodial rights. Demand for lawful correction. I hereby demand a formal record entry acknowledging the receipts of this affidavit, immediate cessation of all fraudulent and retaliatory orders against me and my child, recognition of all previously submitted affidavits, notices, and declarations as lawful evidence, a rescission of the invalid temporary custody order issued in violation of due process, an investigation to repeated filing delays and clerk misconducts. Final words. I have done everything required of a lawful custodian and a living woman. The failure to honor due process is not a failure of mine. It is a breach by the very institution sworn to uphold justice. The chronological issuance of court orders reflects a complete absence of judicial consistency and procedural legitimacy. Over the span of months, the same court has first granted partial weekend custody to the alleged father, then ordered both parties to enroll in visitation services I already independently initiated, and now reversed my custodial role entirely without any lawful rebuttal, a proper hearing, or acknowledgement of the standard documents I have already filed onto the record. This is a blatant pattern of arbitrary rulings issued without continuity, due process, or lawful foundation. Constitutes not only as harassment, but administrative fraud carried out under the color of law. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Martin Luther King Jr. I am not behind, I am maligned. I speak the law of truth, not fear. Every false structure around me must fall. My words hold weight, my light reveals lies, and I stand protected spiritually, lawfully, and divinely. Sworn and affirmed without prejudice by Heaven-Marshay, living woman, lawful guardian, natural mother, executrix, beneficiary. And period. Y'all don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but y'all, document is T. I kid you the fuck not. Receipts on top of receipts on top of receipts on top of receipts. And I come on here to share my documents with you guys because of public record. And this constitutes as public record. Me sharing my experiences publicly, it does solidify my evidentiary record. And I don't even be wanting to do this shit, y'all. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. It is insane to me that I have to come on here and even do this because I know the laws. I have studied this for over 3 years now. Like, I am very familiar with sovereignty law, heavily. As am I familiar with commercial law, contract law, and all the laws. I know them, and I stand on them.